Brands show. I'm Barbara from AllBrands.com. I'm so happy to be here with you today to show a brand new, beautiful template that So Steady has just come out with. It's called the Freedom Hearts, and oh my gosh, I think I'm in love, just in time for Valentine's Day. So I hope that this year for Valentine's Day, you can love yourself enough to be creative and do something nice for yourself. So I hope that this inspires you. And I will bring in Stacy from So Steady, who's also a family owned and operated manufacturer, just like AllBrands, and will tell you more about this amazing product. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Barbara. I'm so excited to be here with everyone at AllBrands. And yeah, we're just in time for Valentine's Day. It looks like you've got an amazing bouquet there.
Oh yeah, my best friend gave me this because it was my birthday last week. So I'm getting all the smells.
Love it. So pretty. Well, all of those things are things we want for Valentine's Day, right?
Yes.
But we've got an awesome project in store for everyone today that you'll have the opportunity to watch a little piece of. We're going to do 1 out of 3 blocks in our new Connecting Hearts of Valentine's Day Table Runner. So we're going to be able to show off how to use that amazing new Freedom Hearts template. And so I thought I would take everybody through the class that they'll have the opportunity to purchase in a launch bundle or have the opportunity to purchase separately on the So Steady University, as well as showing off those templates. And then we'll dive into the class. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah. So Stacy, in the description of this video, there's a link that goes to a page that looks like this, where you can watch this video, and there's links to all the products that we're showing in there. So if you see something that you like, please click that link in the description, and also be sure to use this special coupon, So Steady 10. It's only for this week, and then it expires. Exclusively from allbrands.com. So we hope that you guys take advantage of that. So yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, we're going to be using, and this would be a great time to share the screen where we can show off what those Freedom Heart templates look like. So those are it's a 2-piece set, and we're going to be showing you how you can do all kinds of cool things with both of these templates today. And so again, this is actually really reasonable at just that $25, and then you're offering an additional discount. Is that right?
Oh yes. And if you buy the full set with the class, we have free shipping on it currently.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So the full set comes with a 14-piece fabric kit with the template set and the class. The class ends up being, I think, like a 4-hour class on the table runner. So you get all of that for $75. So I think that's totally worth it. And then if you don't have time before this Valentine's Day, you'll have a class waiting in the wings that you can for another time.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm super excited to get started. So if you want, I can kind of share a little bit about what that full class looks like. This is the class that we're going to be showing off a portion of today. Again, this is called our Connecting Hearts class by Kathy Clawson. She is the educator that created this class. And so we're going to be showing one of the blocks in the 3-part class series.
Stacy, can we see that again? That's absolutely beautiful. I love this. Love the design.
Yeah, so this design is going to be part of that class. So we're not going to show this design off today, but I think you're going to be equally impressed by the design we are showing off. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and share with you, just kind of scroll through the Connecting Hearts Table Runner pattern. She includes a written out pattern with it. And so that's block 1 right there. And then block 2 is what we just took a look at. Isn't that stunning? And then block 3 is the one that we're going to be sharing today, which I think is equally stunning, with all of that TempLee and ruler quilting included. And that again is just using that Freedom Hearts template. So that's the pattern that comes with it. We have the 4-hour class series. And so we're ready to get started whenever you are.
Yeah, so I just have one more thing to say. AllBrands does a $50 AllBrands.com e-gift card at the end of every broadcast. So be sure, if you haven't yet, comment in the comment section of this video, hashtag AllBrands to be eligible to win, and I'll pick a winner at the end. So see you
I love
then.
it. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Barbara. So just as a reminder, this is a recorded class. So we will go ahead and answer lots of questions in the comments. And then we can pause in the middle of it just to, answer anything that needs to be addressed. But there are going to be 3 different videos. So we'll pause every 20 minutes.
Wonderful. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll go ahead and get started.
Welcome back. We're getting ready to start our third block of our 3-block table runner. And we're going to use a little tool that we call the Sew Steady Universal Circles and Straights tool. So we need to set our machine up just a little bit differently to use this tool. What we're going to do is we're going to put our feed dogs up. We're going to put a regular foot, I like an open toe, onto our machine, and we're going to take out our circles and straights tool. So what I want to show you is I'm going to back you up just a little bit here. I want you to be able to see this well. It comes in this awesome little box, and that's where I keep it. There's 2 parts to this. One, this is the circles and straights measuring tool. What I want you to notice on this, and I'm not sure how well you can see it, so I'm going to try and get up real close. Right here, there is a line etched into the tool. Right here, there is a line etched into the tool. Under this penmore, this is called a penmore, what you see is a tack that's built in. This one is quite long, it needs to be, and very sharp. Okay, thus I keep the penmore on whenever I get the opportunity. On the back of this tool, you're going to have a little piece of cellophane here that comes off. And it is clear, so you may want to put a sticker on it, to put a mark on it with a Sharpie, something like that. Actually, I haven't done that yet, so I'm going to grab a Sharpie right here, and I'm just going to put my initials on it. Okay, that didn't work out so well, but I'll put a sticker or something on it later, okay? You really do not want to lose this, because when you're done with it, you're going to want to replace this piece of cellophane onto the tool. It's sticky. Mine isn't quite as sticky as a new one is because I've used it quite a bit. If actually it starts to get a little unsticky, I don't know if that's a real word or not, but if it does, I just take a little bit of soap and water and wash it off just like our mats, and it comes right back to life. So I'm going to set that aside for just a minute. Now I'm going to take the mat portion of our circles and straights tool out. This is a cling mat, just exactly like these are, and it works the same exact way. We have a backing on it. We're going to want to peel that backing off so that it'll cling. If in fact it does start getting unsticky, there's that word I'm not sure is a word again, I simply wash it the same way I wash my mat, and it gets sticky again. So now to lay this down, and what you're going to notice in mine is I've got stitch marks in it. I use my circles and straights tool a lot, obviously, because it's getting to look a little ragged. That's not a problem because I can order just the mat if I need to replace it because I've had a few boo-boos with it. No, I'm the only one who'll ever do that. I'm sure you won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave my grid glider on. If I had a regular glider with just the small hole in the center, I would take that off because we do need our feed dogs for this process. But because I have the grid glider, which has that beautiful large opening, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to line up. I've got my alignment right here that aligns my needle straight on. And then on the horizontal mark here, it will align my needle with the horizontal line. If you were to use the straights tool, say for example, you want to stitch something at 4 inches, what you would do then is lay the tool down here, and then you could take, oops, there we go. You could take your fabric, bring it over and line it up here, and you would get a nice straight line. Okay, let me pull this back so you could see that just a little better. I lined this edge up on my number 4 right here, and then we just go ahead and we stitch. We aren't going to do that. We actually are going to make a circle today. And this is a circle that we're setting up for our 3rd block. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Now, I want you to see this numbering over on the side of the circles and straights tool here. It is numbered from 2 all the way down to 29. And these are 1/2 inch increments, not 1 inch increments. The reason that they are 1/2 inch is because when you put 1/2 an inch on one side of a circle and the 1/2 an inch on the other side of the circle, there's your 1 inch. So when we're marking it, we are basically in essence marking 1/2 the circle. And this works very well. So what I'm going to do, because I want an 11-inch circle on my fabric, I'm going to place this tool on this line. But what I want to place is this mark, this horizontal. It's going to be a horizontal mark when you're holding it this way. It's actually going to be oriented in a vertical orientation when you put it onto the circles and straights mat. This, which is a horizontal mark when it's oriented this way, is going to go on that center line. In other words, we want this line to line up with our needle. Okay, so that's going to keep everything really nice and straight, and we're not going to have any cattywampus circles. And you know, that's my technical term there, cattywampus. So I kind of like to stand up and get right over the top of it, set it down, and just give it a little press. Okay, so now what I've got is I have got our 18-inch square. And for this particular block, I have got my backing fabric. I have got my 80/20 batting, and I have got my reveal fabric. These 3 pieces, the binding and the backing and reveal fabric, I have glue basted together. Okay. Then what I did was and I know you can see part of it, but not all of it, but you already know this stuff. So it's really old hat for you. I went ahead, made my vertical and my horizontal center line in my block like I always do. Even if I'm doing a rectangle, I just find it, for me, it works well. You know, if you find another method that works for you, that's just fine. I don't have any problem with that. My way is not the only way, okay? And what I've done is I've put 16 crosshairs on there. And of course, our TempLee fuse on the back. And what I like to really reinforce is to let that TempLee fuse cool right down before you take the release paper off. I like to do my marking while the release paper is still on it, so that it gives my fabric some extra stability when I'm marking it. Now, this particular piece, I actually used a friction ball pen. Okay, it is an erasable pen, and what that means is heat will erase it. Normally, what it was made for, you see this little rubber tip on the end? If you take that tip and you move it like that across your fabric, now you can see I've actually removed part of that line. Well, how it works is this little rubber part, and when you're putting it on your fabric in motion like that, it's friction, and friction creates heat, and heat is what eliminates the mark. I always do caution my students, however, it can leave a ghost shadow. So when you go to iron it off, which is how we take the whole thing off, is with the iron, you may notice a ghost shadow. The best way to stop that is to place 2 layers of a starch or starch alternative on your top fabric before marking it. What that does is it puts a barrier between the marking implement and the fabric. If you end up with a ghost shadow, which can happen, it's not a big deal. It will come out as soon as it is washed, okay? The friction pens, however, will come back to life if they end up in very cold climates. I tried it with the freezer. It does come back. Once it's washed, however, it does not. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove my release paper from my TempLee fuse. And what I did was I did a 16-inch square, and we know our TempLee fuse is 15 inches. So I did a 15-inch or 15 by 16-inch piece. And then I did another 16-inch piece, and I just cut 1-inch strips, and I've been using them for all of my projects here. Granted, we have an 18-inch block, but we don't need the 18 inches on the TempLee fuse all the way out to the edge because we're going to be trimming them down. And quite honestly, I kind of like to conserve things when I can. So I'm going to go ahead and put my block together. Now I'm going to take the pin more. Well, no, I'll take that back. I'm not going to take that pin more off just yet. I'm going to do one other thing first. When we use our tacks for our spin effects, what we like to do is put the tack in from the front and then put it in from the back. We put it in from the front right at the very center. The reason that we do this is it will make a mark in the back and we will know exactly where to place that tack. I do the same thing when I'm using the circles and straights tool. I'm just going to flip this over for you. There it is, right there, I think. I need to set it down, get a little more leverage on it. So there is my tack. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that out, flip it back up, take it out. That I'm going to put away. We don't want to set that on the table and chances of ending up on somebody's foot. Now I'm going to take this area right where the tack came through and I'm going to set it down on the circles and straights tool. And well, I moved it. That was my fault. If everything works out okay, what's going to happen is you are going to come up, and I'm sorry about knocking you there. You're going to come up right in the center, right where that center crosshair is, and I have come up in the crosshair perfectly. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a high lift on my machine, my foot, and I'm just going to let the whole thing rest here. It's not difficult. It's not at all difficult to get going, to line up, to get that pin in the center. And there's my pin more back on here so I don't accidentally stab myself with this tack. because this tack is quite large and quite pointy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you back towards the machine a little better. Again, we have our feed dogs up, we have our regular foot on. For some of us, we also have to recenter our needle. My machine, I need to actually move my foot over a little bit in order for it to be centered in my ruler foot. And that's no big deal. It happens to some machines. Okay, we don't have to worry about setting height or anything. So I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to put my needle down and back up. I do like to pull thread all the time, pull that bobbin thread up, because this is a quilt as you go project and I want my back to look just as nice as my top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it nice and close, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my foot back down and put my needle down. I am holding those two threads. Just going to take a couple stitches. I have a normal stitch length here, and I'm just going to smooth this block as I turn it. I'm not pulling on anything. I'm not trying to manipulate the fabric. I'm just making sure that it's and nice flat here. That's all I'm looking to do. I do not like to go too fast. When you go too fast, I think it has a tendency to kind of slip a little bit because you've got so many layers here. And I don't use my walking foot or my dual feed when I'm using this circles and straights tool, but you certainly can use your dual feed if you wish. That's not a problem. So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to go around here. We're going to get that 11-inch line. Remember, that is an 11-inch circle that we're putting in. And as soon as we come to the end of that, I'm going to show you how we're going to tie this off. And then we'll go ahead and move forward with our Freedom Edge Connecting Hearts templates. I've got to say, these templates have been just so much fun to work with. I'm so excited to be able to bring these designs to you. If you watch the template tasting Friday on January 13th, I did quite a few edge-to-edge designs with the templates, and they're easy. They're just really, really fun, and they're really, really easy to do. So we're going to get here to the end. What I like to do before I get all the way to the end is I do like to bury my threads. And I'm sure you know how to do this, but I like to review it every now and again. I'm going to just make an overhand knot here. Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to go ahead and make that overhand knot. And now what I've got is I've got a loop here. I'm going to go ahead and put my cheater needle in the loop. And I'm going to tighten the knot down, but not right on the top of the fabric. I want 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch between the knot and the fabric top. The reason being is that if you put that knot right on the fabric, you won't be able to bury it. This way it gives us a place that we've got room to do. So now, because this is a TempLee project, I've got my reveal fabric here. I want to make sure that I'm getting that needle as far back into that batting as possible without going through the back of the quilt block. And I'm going to, grab my needle here. I'm trying to stay out of your way. I'm going to grab my needle here. I'm going to go ahead and take my tails of my thread all the way out. So now I think you can see that knot right there. It should be relatively easy to see. I'm just going to give it a quick tug. And there you go. That's it. I don't know if you heard that pop or not, but it does pop through. I love to hear that sound because I know it's exactly where I want it to be. And the back is going to look just as pretty as the front, which is what we're looking for. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to complete that circle. Then we're going to take the circles and straights tool off, and we're going to work with the rest of our block. And you'll see how it just comes together perfectly. So I'm going to lift my needle, lift my foot. I'm going to go ahead and pull my thread. And sometimes I need to go back and pull that bobbin thread up, and sometimes it just comes up and pops up there by itself, and that's where I'm going to pull it, and then I'm going to give it a little trim right there, and I will take the bobbin thread out, and now I have just my bobbin and my top thread, and I will bury them the same way that I just did the beginning threads. So I'm going to go ahead, put my toys away, and I will meet you back here, and we will start working with our Freedom Edge, and we are going to be using the hearts, the 2-inch heart number 2 template. Remember, we need staple tape on both sides of this template. We are going to be flipping it and making some beautiful designs with it. So until we meet back here, let's quilt.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our next video. And this one is going to start diving into the ruler work. I don't hear you.
Oh, good. Thank you. I had to mute us so it wouldn't echo. So we had this fabric is absolutely stunning. I want to buy this and the kit and the class for the fabric, but I also want the class and I also want the template set. They're perfect.
I think it's great. You know, it's funny is Kathy has she does a bunch of education. And so one of her customers came to her and said, hey, I want to, can I just buy the fabric from you? And she said, it's actually a better deal if you buy it in the kit. So, so yeah, I think that the kit with the templates and the class is definitely, I think it's a total value of $115.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So we're making it all available in one nice opportunity, and that is a limited time. That kit's only available through as the bundle with the fabric and the class through February 3rd. So if you want to take advantage of it, then you buy then, and then otherwise you can buy the templates and the class separate anytime.
Yeah. I love it. So for those of you watching, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a description and there's a link in the description of this video where you can click to purchase the whole kit with the fabric and the template set and the course through Sew Steady.
So yeah, and we're doing a 3-part table runner. We're just showing block 3 today. So this is the full class is actually giving you the full table runner construction, ruler work. So there's 2 additional blocks that we're not going to show, but you'll get if you get the whole class.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to run through a few comments that we've had before we get to the next one, because I think that they're great. The first one's from Anne. She says that she loves her Sew Steady table. I love mine too. Great product. And Kathleen Lamb says the heart blocks are lovely. I agree with you there. Everyone is loving the fabric. And that burying the thread demonstration was really great. So, all right.
You gotta love those options for those needles that allow you to do that so easily. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's dive into the next video, guys.
Sounds great.
Ruler work.
Okay.
Welcome back. What we're going to do, first off, I put my foot back on, and I know that I've covered this before, but whenever I put my foot on, I like to put it on loose, and then I lower my foot, make sure that it's sitting just kissing the top of my fabric, and then I'm going to go ahead and I am going to tighten it at this point. Now, one other thing that I wanted to show you, just because I know that this has been a topic of discussion lately in some of the Sew Steady forums, is that the needle doesn't necessarily fall directly in the center of the foot on every machine. Okay? Hopefully you can see that well. Try to bring you in as far as I can here. There you go. And what you're going to see is my needle is over to the left here. That is no big deal, because what I need to do is I just need to remember to adjust the machine, the needle, when I start doing ruler work with this machine. And what I did was I actually took a little fluorescent sticky note and said, ruler work, set to 4.4. And that's what I do. Then, of course, I always like to do just a little bit of stitching here just to make sure that I'm not going to skip stitches. My foot isn't too high. My foot isn't too low. And actually, my foot right now could be lower just a hair. And I'm going to do that with my pressure foot adjustment. There we go. Perfect. Okay, we are ready to start. If your fabric is coming back up like this oh, I got to take you back out. I'm sorry. When you're stitching, then your foot is too high and you will want to lower it a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to bring you back out. Not because I like playing with this thing, but I do like playing with it, quite honestly. Okay. One of the best tools I've ever had for teaching is my Elmo. Okay, there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our template. Okay. I'm just going to try and get a piece of dark paper here to make it a little easier for you to see what we're going to do. This is the template. That's the template, right side up. Okay. We're going to be using the flourish and the heart. And what we're going to do is we are going to make some little marks here, just some keys for us to be able to know when to stop stitching and when to move on, okay? When to flip it or whatever we need to do. So what I'm going to do before I stitch this out, I'm going to lay this down. Here is my vertical crosshair. Here is where my needle is going to fall right in the center. Where I want to stitch is I want to come up here and I want to end somewhere really close to the center of my template, okay? This is kind of different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, right about there, I'm going to put my crosshair, my spacing gauge, I'm sorry, and that's exactly where I want to end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my little arrows, and I'm going to put it right here. Right here is where I want my line to fall. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up right here. We're going to stitch up to here. Then we are going to turn our template. Okay. And then what we're going to do is stitch up to our circle, our 11-inch circle right here. Okay. We're then going to take this template off and we are going to put the heart template on, and we're going to stitch a rotation of our heart. Then we're going to take this template off and we're going to travel. Okay. on our 11-inch circle. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that after we actually do one rotation, okay? First things first, I'm going to go ahead, put my foot down, get my needle up and down right in the center of my block, and I missed the center just by a little bit. So I'm going to do it again, put my foot down. It's a lot easier if you hand wheel that needle down to the center. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and lift it back up again along with my foot. And I've got my bobbin thread and my top thread both on the top of the fabric. I'm going to go ahead, put my needle back down. Okay. Now to slip the template on is very easy. We just lift our foot and slip it through. I call this the needle pass. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be called, but that's what I call it. Okay, so remember that blue arrow we put on? Okay, I've got it touching this first line that I'm working on. Okay, yeah, it's on top of staple tape, but it still points to the line and it works just fine. Now remember, you don't have to worry about holding your foot to one side or the other. I'm going to take my first stitch in place and then start nice and slow. When we're doing curves, we want to take and make our stitches just a little bit smaller, but not too much smaller, because then we end up with micro stitches. And if we make a mistake, tearing out micro stitches is really a problem. Okay, I'm going to move my template off to the side. I am going to go in and I am going to trim these threads. And you're probably wondering, well, why aren't you burying them? Because you like burying threads. Well, actually, I don't mind burying threads, not at all. The reason I'm not burying them is because we're going to be stitching over this spot several times, and that will lock those threads in. So now I've got all I did was turn my template around just like this, okay? And I am lining up where I think the needle is going to hit right here following the template. How do I know how to line that up? I'm going to look at it and I'm going to come 1/4 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch from the side of my template, and that is exactly where my needle is going to end up, right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, take that one stitch in place again, and now I'm going to stitch up and I'm going to stop when my needle hits that 11-inch circle. Okay, so round we're going to go. Slow down. There we go. It has hit the circle. If it's not exactly on, don't fret. Okay, it's not the end of the world. What you have to remember is these marks are going to disappear. So we can make mistakes and nobody will ever know it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull my foot up again and I'm going to line up my heart. And remember, we have that beautifully etched dashed line there to tell us we're marked, where you're lined up perfectly. Does not matter if you stitch to the left or to the right. I do like to hold this little piece right here, and you'll see I have stable tape there. I think that helps just to keep the template a little more stable when we're going around that area. Again, smaller stitches when we're going around a curve. It makes the curve more rounded. And we're going to come back and we're going to meet the bottom of our heart right where we started it. Okay, now we're going to take our template off again. We now are going to travel on this 11-inch circle until we touch the next line. Okay, so if this line were number 1, we're going to stop when we hit line number 2. And to travel, we just want to take our time, keep that needle moving. Don't worry if you miss the thread by a half a stitch. It's not the end of the world. It's going to look wonderful when it's all TempLee because we are TempLeeing this project. Okay, so there we go. We made it to the next line. Now what I am going to do on this line is I am going to put the heart back on, but this time I'm going to orient it towards the center. So I want the bottom of the heart, the pointy side, to face out towards the perimeter of my block, and I want the curvy side to face the center. So I'm going to take my 1 stitch in place, then we're going to go ahead, we're going to move that block. You'll notice I'm keeping my hands nice and flat. My hands are what's moving the fabric. It's not where the template is moving the fabric. I've just holding my template in place. I'm not bearing down on the template because if we push too hard on the template, we will not be able to move anything, and you don't want that. Okay, so there we've hit the bottom of the heart. I'm going to go ahead and take that template off, and again I'm going to twist my fabric. I am going to travel on that 11-inch line to line number 3. And it takes a little more concentration to travel than it does to just stitch. Okay, so now I've stopped in line number 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another heart, and this one is going to face the perimeter. Okay, got that nice dashed line all lined up. We're going to go over through the heart. And this template is really a joy to work with. It's a lot easier, especially if you're a new ruler work quilter, to use the inside curves over the outside curves when you're just starting. You really do need to know both, but it's okay. You'll start with this one and then everything will work out. So now I'm going to put the flourish back on. Now, what we want to remember is when we put the flourish on originally, we had this arrow, we had the template in this orientation. This time we want the template in this orientation and the arrow again touching the line. Do you move up? Do you move down? You know what? It really doesn't matter too much as long as you end up on that line. I'm going to go ahead and move it up just a hair because if I remember correctly, I actually had a little bit of space left over when I stitched that first flowy line out there. So I'm going to take my stitch in place and here we go. And now we are going back to the center of our block. This is just an awesome arc to work with. I'm right exactly on that line. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my template. And lo and behold, I'm going to stop stitching when I end up in that center. And it's going to be a nice, very smooth wave that we're making. Okay.
Hold on. Let's see. So let's see. It looks like there's some black in this video. Let me pull up the next video and see if it's just supposed to pull in there.
Okay.
Okay, what I'd like to talk about is what happens when we get back to the center when we have, just as I showed you, did our flourish line back to the center. Then what we need to do is we need to skip one crosshair line. On the second crosshair line, we are going to put our flourish back on or keep it on, whichever, if you've already got it on. And we're going to line up our blue arrow. So we are going to then stitch up. We're going to stop when our needle hits the line. We're going to then move our flourish up. We're going to line our template up so that we really want to stop on the 11-inch circle and our crosshair line. And it may not bring us to the very edge of the template. It probably won't, and that's okay because that's the way it's designed. You don't need to be at the edge of your template. You need to be at that intersection. Okay, so I'm going to take the template off because I want to talk about what we've got going on here. And I'm going to move you guys over just a little bit because I really want you to see this, okay? There we go. Perfect. So what we've got now is we stitched in after we did our rotations here and here, and now we've stitched back out to the 11-inch line. What are we missing? We are missing this inward facing heart on this line. Okay, so what we've got is a single line of stitching here on our 11-inch line. Here we've got double lines of stitching because of the way we need it to travel. So what you can do is you can travel all the way back to the previous flourish line and then come back into the next crosshair line. Is that necessary? Absolutely not. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. Some people just feel as though they don't like leaving a single line of stitching next to a double line of stitching. The double line of stitching has a little extra weight to it. We call it weight. It's a little heavier. The single line of stitching next to the double line of stitching, they feel shows too much. It's too much of a distraction. And that's a personal decision. You make that decision. I don't make that decision for you. But what you can do is just travel to that crosshair that's missing its inward facing heart. And that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm just going to travel to that crosshair. Okay. And remember to keep traveling. I stopped because I really had to move my hands. Okay, I am now on that crosshair. So I am going to take my heart. I'm going to turn you around so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to make my inward facing heart. And there we go. We got everything lined up. Remember that first stitch in place if you're a toe catcher stitcher like I am. And then you're going to make your stitch length just a tad smaller when you're going around the curves. You don't want nano stitches. Nano stitches are not good if you have to tear out. Okay, and then we're going to just go ahead and come back to the base of our heart, or the point, whichever you prefer to call it. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my template off, and now I'm going to stitch back to the top of my flourish. And I am going to stitch out my outward facing heart. Every other heart will be inward facing. Every other heart will be outward facing. And remember, when I stitch this heart, I do like to hold right here. I just think it helps keep everything a little more stable for me. If you don't wish to hold it that way, that's fine. You're not going to insult me. Everybody does things their own way, and that's what's good about humanity. We don't have to do it all the same. We all are different and unique in our own ways, and that's what makes life interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to take it out. Now I'm going to stitch over. And I'm going to stop at the next crosshair mark. And I've got a little piece of thread here that wants to keep bothering me. I'm going to go ahead and put my heart back on. Line up my dashed lines with the crosshair line. Going to make my inward facing heart. The other thing I always like to tell people is make sure that your table is well polished. It helps your fabric glide much easier. Take that off. I'm going to go to my next crosshair line, and then I'm going to put my flourish into the center. Now, because it's a line, a crosshair line with a flourish, I need to put my heart how? Inward or outward? Right, outward facing. That's one really good way to remember which direction your heart is going to face. If it's on the end of a flourish, it will face out. If it's on a crosshair line with no flourish, it will point in, or it will face in. Let's say that because I don't want to confuse you with the point. Okay, so now we have skipped one line. Whoops, let me get you over. I moved you over before. Okay, so we have a flourish, we have an inward facing heart, we have an outward facing heart, so we need to put our flourish in again. And again, I am going to I always like to have the needle pass facing towards the center, not facing the center, but I like to have it on the downside towards the center when I'm coming from the outside and when I'm going from the inside. So we're going to go ahead, and it looks like we're lined up pretty good here. Half a stitch. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line this up. Everything lines up beautiful. There we go. Right to the center. Perfect. Okay, now we have a decision. We have ended up, we are in the center of our block. I'm going to back you up. I want you to see all of this. We have one crosshair line that has no heart in it. We're not going to put another flourish up here because we don't need one there. We have a flourish, a blank crosshair line, a flourish. That's exactly the way the pattern goes. but we should have an inward facing heart right here. How am I going to handle that? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my needle and I'm going to raise my foot. And I am going to put my foot down, and then I'm going to put my needle down and back up, and I'm going to pull my bobbin thread up. Come on. There we go. I knew it was in there. Okay, I'm going to trim that. I'm just going to cut it off. I'm going to come back and I'm going to bury that later. Why am I not going to travel up the crosshair or up the flourish line? Two reasons really. One is we would have only one flourish line with traveling. I personally think that might skew the design just a little bit. Not a deal breaker, okay? The other reason why is that I don't know if I can travel perfectly on this line because I can't follow my template because remember, I moved the template when we went from the top to the bottom. So it's not two exact full rotations here. No worries. We'll just cut off there. We'll come up here. I don't even have to, if I don't want to, backtrack on the 11-inch circle. And I'm not going to. How do you like that? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to put my needle at the intersection where the 11-inch circle and the crosshair intersect. Pull my thread up, put my foot back down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my needle back down in the same spot. I'm going to turn my block because I like for you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. I am going to have my heart facing the center of the block. And here we go. I'm going to put that last heart in all by itself. Is it inconvenient? I don't think so. Does it take a long time to do? I don't think so. It doesn't take us that long to bury a couple threads and to move our needles. Okay, so up we go, foot up, get those out of the way, bring this one back, put my foot down. There we go. Put my needle down and up, and what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to pull my bobbin thread up, cut some tails. Whoops, cut some tails so that I can bury the threads. There we go. And pull my bobbin thread out. So what we've got now is just a couple threads to bury. And we also have our TempLee to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark my spots where I am going to cut out. I want to cut out every other flourish portion. Okay, cut this one, don't cut this one. 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 It works perfectly. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all of the outward facing stars or hearts. I'm sorry. I was looking at Starry Night today. I got stars on the brain. Okay, so there we go. We're going to mark and cut all of our outward facing hearts. After I accomplish that, I will be back to show you the final product and to just give you a real quick how we're going to put this together video. And we will be done with So
All right. Well, thank you so much for letting us come on here, Barbara. We're not going to show the final video, but we do have a sampling of this final picture here. And then, of course, we showed off the actual pattern itself as well earlier, where you can see the different block designs as well. So we appreciate you letting us come on. I saw there were some additional questions that came in. Did you want to have us cover any of those?
Yeah, sure, if we have time to. Let's see. I think I answered some in the comments already. One of them was, how do you maintain or stop from loops in your ruler quilting? And I learned something new from you.
Well, you know, a lot of times some machines sew a little bit like want to sew faster. And I think that can happen often if your machine is more of like maybe like a high speed, more of a quilting machine. And so oftentimes we'll suggest that if your machine is kind of geared up towards a little bit faster sewing experience, that you can actually change out your bobbin casing, so you can actually have a separate bobbin case that has a different tension set in it. So then you don't have to worry about changing the tension back and forth. You can set one casing set the tension on one case to a little bit different tension to adjust for that slower speed.
Great. That's great. And I also mentioned that grid glider that Kathy had on her Sew Steady extension table is a must-have. If you guys don't have that, click the link in the description of this video. It should be on the category page there. And it's like a bowling ball alley floor. It's just...
And then it's just got all the markings, right? So it's perfect for being able to do so many projects. I really am a super in love with our circles and straights mat too, because it has that straight ruler on the right side, so you can kind of get the measurements, and then you get all your circle sewing sizes on the left. So you know exactly how big your circles are going to be.
Susie made a really cute comment. We all need this set, ladies and gents. I can sacrifice a few fast food meals and get this. Only $25 for just the ruler template set. But
isn't that a great deal?
It is, but for the full set of like the class.
Exactly.
Which is how many videos do they get with the class?
So it's three, well, technically when you part it all out, it's like 12 videos, but it's basically about 4.5 hours of education, video-based education. Then we have that full pattern that we showed earlier. And I did want to show that one more time if we get a chance, because it does show that cutaway block. So I always think it's fun to actually show that finished product, right? So that's the block that you guys got to see today, and that's what she did when she cut it away.
Yeah.
And kind of see that.
You normally pay for just a class, but you get the template set and you get the fabric. And
the fabric. So the only thing that's not included in the fabric is that TempLee fuse. You would have to buy that separate, but we provide you with the fabric as well as the batting for the full project. And then TempLee fuse is one of those. It's a fusible that just secures one layer of fabric to the next. So you know, she kind of describes how to put that together, but that's something that you can buy separate, or use a fusible you already have.
Yeah. Here's a question from Susie. She says, what's that discount code again? Let me tell you. And it's just going to be like, I think for maybe this week. I may extend it for 2 weeks, but I would say that by next Thursday, this is going to be gone. And you said that the fabric kit's only going to be...
So the one to buy it all together, so the fabric kit, the class, and the templates, that $75 deal, which is like $115 value. To buy that all together, that is actually only available through February 3rd.
Wow. So hop on over to that page. Oh, I was looking at the set on my computer, so it's
there it is.
Here's the category page, and you can see it. It's the second item listed here, and that's the full set, and it's free shipping within the continental USA. So don't miss out on that. I am in love, literally in love with this template set.
I love that flourish that you add to that too, because it really gives you some fun things you can do with hearts, you know, and kind of combine that and be able to connect them. And, you know, obviously one of the big things with quilting is that you don't break your threads. And so having that connector makes it just so much easier to eliminate a lot of thread breaks along the way.
Well, thank you, Debbie, for shopping with us. Should we do a giveaway now, Stacy?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Let me find here we go, share this tab. All right, here we go. All right, so if you haven't yet, go ahead and comment hashtag AllBrands.com real quick, because we're going to do a giveaway. And our winner is Lori Scott. Congratulations, Lori. Please email me at events@allbrands.com, your name, email address, and phone number, and I'll get that $50 AllBrands.com e-gift card over to you so that you can shop on our website, AllBrands.com. Thank you so much, Stacy, for joining us today. You're amazing.
We appreciate you letting us come on. Super excited to have you guys enjoy that new template set. We, you know, like I said, it's brand new set. We just launched it just in time for Valentine's Day.
I love it. I love it. And we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be talking to you hopefully soon. We've got some more education planned with you guys over the next few months. So we're looking forward to
scheming. More dates in the future. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Okay.
Have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys. Mwah.